evening, fledgling. Tonight you start on your long and glorious journey to learning the lessons that will keep you safe through all of your nights from now till eternity. Welcome to the Clan of Kings.
Sir, the identity is confirmed, sir.
Very good. Now that we are assured of your lineage, the lectures may proceed. I will once again introduce myself. I am Alejandro Villalobos Patron, child of Alfonso Carlos, child of Jan Pieterszoon, child of Hardestadt. The lineage of Ventrue is very important. You will remember yours for all nights.
I am Louis Agassiz Patron, child of Miguel Vasquez Patron, child of Alejandro Villalobos Patron, child of Alfonso Carlos, child of Jan Pieterszoon, child of Hardestadt. Lineage. It's a gift. A gift that allows you to know your elders. Your kindred gift allows you to meet those elders. Lineage is security. The security that if you know whence you came, that no other kindred will be able to infiltrate you. Lineage is joy. The joy of knowing that you come from a long line of blue bloods. What else is there but lineage? Something you should know about the Clan of Kings is that we are the natural rulers of everyone at the Camarilla. We are in charge.
I'm a member of the Clan of Kings, the Ventrue, also known as the Blue Bloods. We have earned this nickname because of our habit of embracing only those that are the most noble, the most worthy. The term blue blood comes from the Dark Ages, when it was used to describe mortal families of lineages more pure than the rest. And we Ventrue do follow this practice, and embrace only those who are most noble and most worthy. As such, we are the natural rulers of the night. We have the money, we have the power. We pull the strings. We are the ones who tell people like police officers who to arrest and who to let go with a warning. We're the ones who trace phone lines. We are the ones who read your bills, who know what you did in the past, whether those files are sealed or not. If you want a new identity, you talk to a Ventrue. If you want money, you talk to the Ventrue. If you want control, if you want power behind the scenes, well, that is what we are.
As a Ventrue, you will learn very quickly that we are very wealthy. Something else you'll notice is that we control everything, from your policeman to your shipping to your high society. We have our fingers in everything. But the best thing about us is that we are blue bloods. We are kings and queens. And in the modern age, we are CEOs and captains of industry. We are better by birth, by wealth, and by breeding. But most of all, by death. Welcome to the embrace.
As the Blue Bloods, our position is naturally at the top. In the Camarilla, we are the leaders. We are the heads that wear the crown. We are the ones whose position and whose authority drives the Camarilla to its noble ends, be that on the corpses of our enemies or cannon fodder.
Something that you should know, something that should be spoken to you, if it has not already manifested itself within you. And that is that, as a member of the Clan of Ventrue, you have a gift. A special gift that allows you to have rarefied tastes of vitae. Unlike the gangrel, who will feed on any camper or hiker or bear in the woods, or any Nosferatu, who will feed on the rats or anything that falls in the cracks, or Bruja, who probably only feed on hookers and pimps. We have a rarefied taste. We seek out only the finest in vitae. But, that said, when you were brought into the fold, something happened to you. You will seek out only one type of vitae, and this will be your succulent, delicious nectar for all time. Now, something you should also be warned of. Anything that is not the vitae you seek, whether it be cold blood, whether it be blood from somebody such as a lower than your station, or somebody who does not meet your requirements, you will not be able to hold this. You will be ill, and you will be sick, and it will come out of you. It's not very pleasant, it is not very polite, and you don't do that in public. So remember, always stay within your feeding preference, because it's a gift. It elevates us amongst the rabble.
Ventrue, being the cream of the crop, as it were, requires something a bit better than the base vitae of something lower, something which is unfitting, something which is unclean. We demand something better. And that demand is known to us from the moment of our embrace. We know what vitae will sustain us through our nights, and nothing else will serve. Though we take no shame in those upon whom we prey, we know that in the world of kindred, secrets are vulnerabilities, if they are not secret. And so we do not let others know from whom we feed, for they may try to use it against us. And though naturally we will come out on top, there's no sense in giving anyone else any ammunition. The Society of the Hague is an institution within the Camarilla made of the best and brightest lawyers, lawmakers, interpreters, those who understand our traditions and our laws. They are the legal counsel of the Camarilla. They may be called upon by members of the Camarilla for defense, and for Ventrue in particular, well, we have other uses as well.
Yes, the Society of the Hague. They're a very useful tool for both the young and the old. Mainly a body of lawyers, but also they keep track of history. If somebody has done something wrong, perhaps Mr. Y in 1643 did something to Mr. X, and you want to know if perhaps that ruling would be in your favor or not in your favor, you would go to someone within the Society of the Hague. Additionally, should you ever encounter anyone who has the title of the Right Honorable, well, be very nice to them. But the best thing you should know about the Society of the Hague is that should one of your adversaries get the upper hand on you, and you can find some damning piece of evidence, well, the Society is very useful in judging in your favor, should you be able to curry theirs. As I'm sure you've realized, now that you have a little time to have vitae course through your veins, that you're able to do some things that you probably weren't able to do as a kine or mortal. Well, the Ventrue have that very wonderful set of gifts as well, but ours are unique to us. Again, we are the Clan of Kings, and, well, I won't go into any of the rest of that, but what you should know is that we are able to manipulate minds through a discipline called Dominate. That, should you come at us and bring us harm, or try, that through our fortitude, we shall stave off your attacks. But you shouldn't ever want to do that, because by our very presence, you will fall in love with us. That you should know.
We Ventrue are known for certain talents which we possess. Our words sometimes carry the weight of our will and must be obeyed. We can manipulate the emotions of others, bending them to fear or to love at our whim, and we can withstand the mightiest blows. However, if you need to use these, you've already done something wrong. Ventrue are powerful, and that power courses through our veins, yet in the night, true power is subtlety. If you find yourself having to use your disciplines very often, you've done something wrong. Instead, learn the kindred around you. Learn to manipulate them so that you don't have to fall back on something. Keep the masquerade so you don't have to repair it later by erasing someone's memory. And if someone is swinging at you and you have to invoke that shield of Aegis, well, somewhere along the line, you messed up. However, it can be certainly useful on occasion to have police look the other way or drop a certain piece of paper and never have remembered writing it or picking it up in the first place.
Etiquette. What does that mean to you? Etiquette means that there's no shame in being polite to your enemy, even when you're clubbing him to death. You can still be a gentleman. Oh, sir, I'm so sorry that I must do this, but you are in my way. Etiquette.
As Ventrue, we hold ourselves above the rest, and that has demands. We must know and understand the laws, both spoken and unspoken, of a society, and we must observe them, for our very presence does further establish them. We observe etiquette. We know when to stand, when to bow, when to shake hands, when to meet someone's eyes, and when to avert our gaze. Because in the world of kindred, a misstep can bring the ire of an elder, several decades your senior, centuries perhaps. A misspoken word can end with your existence being nothing more than ash on wind. We observe etiquette further because we are the upper class. We are the ones who determine what is acceptable and what isn't. Further, as the upper crust of society, as the Ventrue, as the leaders, we establish what the Camarilla is. And if we do not live those rules, then we can be pointed out to by others as being hypocritical. It will cost us our position, our respect, and we must always demand the respect of our peers. And thus do we live upon etiquette.
Now, let's talk about the Directorate. This is a governing body within the Ventrue. These are the individuals that lead us. And as with any organization, there's the bottom and there's the top. You, of course, will start at the bottom. You will be called an Iron. An Iron is a foot soldier. Now, of course, as I'm sure it's been explained to you, you will not go out and do battle hand to hand, but you will do the bidding of all your superiors. How do you not become an Iron anymore? Well, find a niche and fill it. Or show that you are better than the person that holds the position of Adele. After Iron, there's Adels, Quasitor, and Praetor. You know, you can work your way up through the different ranks, and good luck to you if you do. But remember this, always be respectful.
As I mentioned before, Ventrue rule in the night. We rule behind the scenes. There is an organization amongst the Ventrue only called the Directorate. Within it, there are Iron, the soldiers of the Directorate, the foot soldiers, as it were. They may not actually fight, but they are the operatives. There are Quasitor. A Quasitor is one who asks questions, who finds out things, who investigates. The person for whom they investigate is typically the Aedile, an officer within the Directorate, one who is in charge of several Iron and who can appoint a Quasitor, one who manages either a large domain or a city of their own. They report above them to a Praetor, who controls a vaster region and who may appoint Quasitors of his own as well.
Now that all the seriousness is aside, so that you can survive the nights to follow, let's take a little time to educate you on how we feel about the other clans.
Well, your education has proceeded well. Now it's time for you to understand how it is we interact with the others among us.
Let's take first of all the Bruja. The Bruja are a bunch of muscle meatheads, constantly at each other's throats, constantly fighting with everybody. It's no way to live. Oh sure, they were once poets, but now they can't really even put two sentences together.
Bruja, the rabble. They're once warrior poets, now, well, barely warriors, really. They have strength, they have speed. Well, good for them. What they don't have is self-control, mastery over themselves and others. They may live their nights in the trenches, but if you live your night in the trenches too long, you find your death there.
Malkavians. Though Malkavians may be as crazed as loons, like the Mad Hatter in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, you should always listen to the ramblings, because once in a while they will have the clearest insight. But also do not be led astray, because they are crazy, and they may use that against you. Of course, they also might, if you interrupt them in their insanity, focus it solely on you.
Malkavians. There are two kinds of Malkavians. Often they'll be both at once. Sometimes they are very useful. They have an amazing insight. They can see patterns where there are none to the casual observer. Yet sometimes, well, they're a waste of space. Always pay attention to a Malkavian's ramblings, because you'll either want to learn something from it or play along. Because if you contradict a Malkavian when they are in the throes of their madness, it is likely that they will lose themselves. If you want to know how to properly use a Malkavian in your domain, understand their madness. You may guide them through their own minds. You will find a useful tool.
On to other matters. The Nosferatu. The Nosferatu are possibly the most repugnant, vile, disdainful-looking group of people you will ever come across in your long and wonderful nights. But don't be fooled by their disgusting visage, for the Nosferatu are some of the most well-connected information brokers that you will ever come across. If you want to know a weakness of your enemy, go to the Nosferatu. If you want to know who's vying for power, go to the Nosferatu. Because they have eyes and ears everywhere. They're in all forms of media. They listen in the shadows, because they live in the shadows. But never trust the Nosferatu, and always be aware of the deal you're making with them, because it will always be in their favor.
Nosferatu. Those kindred who gave our kind their namesake for some centuries. To the ignorant, at least. In times past, the Nosferatu were far more useful than they are now. Modern technology has made information a much more easy thing to access. The Nosferatu live in the sewers. They dwell in the dank underbelly of the city, and purportedly know its secrets. Remember, you can always ask a Nosferatu for information, and if they don't have it, they can get it. Remember also that your identity can be bought and sold as well, so always pay a little extra for silence.
Next, the Toreador. There's very little you need to know about the Toreador, other than that they're artists. Their art can come in many different forms. Sculpture, or chaos, or plastic surgery of the kind, if you are so interested in it. But what you really need to know about the Toreador is if you have a big, beautiful lobby and you want to fill it full of ugly, gaudy art, go to them. And then there's Noel Knox, who has truly perfected the art and craft of beauty. If you're going to decorate your office or your living space, then you should go to him, because he will bring a little bit of inner peace no matter where you are.
The Toreador, the artistes, they attempt to embrace humanity and show what it is to us who are no longer part of it. Try and generally fail miserably, at least from what I've seen, although there have been some inspired pieces over the years. For the most part, Toreador are socialites and can be distracted, as Louis did with his aristocrats in France. The Toreador can be sometimes allies, but, well, though they may be members of society we command it, there's little they can offer. As for Noel Knox, well, I don't think I've met a more useless kindred in all of New Haven.
And then there's the Tremere. Be wary of the Tremere. The Tremere actually became members of the Camarilla by stealing their power. They are known as the usurpers, or as they'd like to call themselves, sorcerers. But as most deals with sorcerers will end only in their favor, be wary of them. But do realize that they do have great power, and with great power they can wield your cause to your better. And then there was Elliot Maxwell.
Oh, and then there's Elliot Maxwell, famed occult scholar. Sure, he knows his stuff, but he's also a psychopath. He is, well, nearly flushed New Haven down the toilet while I was in Sacramento. He's attempted to murder a great many more people than he was successful in murdering, which is also an abhorrent sum. Beyond that, his inflated sense of ego was served by his position as my seneschal, where I let him run things only so that the kindred of the domain have a focus for their hatred. Maxwell. Yes, he does what I say. He is a focus for the kindred of the domain. He gives New Haven someone to hate. As long as the target is on him, it's not on me. The clan that has left the Camarilla and returned. They're a fractious lot. They embrace all kinds. Not all kinds survive. That's sort of the point from what I understand. Gangrel are difficult to kill. They embrace things that other kindred cannot. They can survive in the wilderness, and often do. They float from domain to domain, either flying on their own wings or in heavily sun-shielded caravans of some sort, anyway. I will say this to the gangrel. They're difficult to classify. Their elders are very wise, in their own way, of course. And while they may not be politicians, they certainly have their alphas. If you want to understand gangrel, understand an animal, be it a wolf or a cat, something with a predatory nature. Understand what that might be as an embraced kindred, and you will understand the gangrel.
But something you should know about the gangrel. They do have their warriors. They do have their leaders, not by any standard that we would measure a leader. But be cautious around them, because you would be cautious around a superior fighting dog. You would be cautious around a bear. But I do have to say that it's nice that, like any good animal, we hold the leash. And last and least, the caitiff. The caitiff are, if you've fallen through all the cracks, and you haven't been claimed by anyone else, and nobody else will take you under their wing, if you've fallen through the big sifter and shaken to the ground, they're the caitiff. They have really no structure, they have no leadership, they have really no history or bloodline for that. They are wandering the nights aimlessly. But don't be fooled. You can actually make some great allies. Well, pawns, really, in the caitiff. There are leaders there. There are fallen there. Caitiff. What a waste.
Caitiff. These are kindred who know not their lineage, whether it be in their mind or in their blood. They have no clan. They have no place among caitiff or the cast-offs. They are they who didn't even have the good fortune to be embraced Nosferatu. Their blood is thin. Their aptitudes laughable. They have no place among civilized society. Well, perhaps they do have a place. The front lines are under our boots.